Dear students, today I am going to take up another important concept, that is female reproductive system. This particular concept is important for 5 marks in board exam. They may ask this diagram, draw a neat label diagram of female reproductive system, or they may also ask a question like this, write a short note on female reproductive system. In your competitive exam also, this concept is important because they may give the diagram and they may give the options to identify the parts. So, let us see what are the important points that we should remember in this concept. This female reproductive system consists of a pair of ovaries and a pair of oviduct, uterus, cervix and vagina. Along with this, mammary glands are also associated with the female reproductive system, which is responsible for the child care. That means it helps to develop the milk, and that milk is very much essential food for the developing child. So, in female reproductive system, you can see the fallopian tube and the uterine portion, and also you can see the presence of finger-like projections at the end of the fallopian tube. They are called fimbriae, and this is the uterus portion, or it is also called womb. Here also you can see the presence of fimbriae, finger-like projections, and you can see the presence of the appearance of uterus. And then the next portion is here, the vagina. Here, this uterine wall is almost three layered, and it has the following different parts. It will be like this. Outer layer is called perimetrium. Outer layer of the uterus is called perimetrium. And the middle layer is highly muscular, and it is called myometrium, which helps in childbirth and it causes labor pain. And the innermost layer is called endometrium. It is also called uterine milk, or it is also called deciduous layer because it changes in every month. And here you can see on either side the presence of ovary. A pair of ovary is located on either side of the uterus, and it is attached to the uterus by the help of ligaments. You can see the ligaments. And here this particular portion is called cervical canal, or it is also called birth canal, cervical canal, or it is also called birth canal. And this particular portion is called vagina. Here, ovary, fimbriae, and this is called infundibulum, ampulla, isthmus. So, the wall of the uterus has a 3-layer: outer, perimetrium, innermost, endometrium. It is also called uterine milk or deciduous layer, and the middle portion is the myometrium. This fallopian tube, it has a long tubular structure which is extended on either side of the uterus, and here the widened portion is called ampulla, and the next portion is infundibulum, which has finger-like projections, that is called fimbriae. This fimbriae or the finger-like projections helps to collect the egg which is released from the ovary. They may ask a question in your competitive exam. Immediately after the release of this egg from the ovary, it goes to they may give the options like this. Option A, antrum. Option B, they may give the option B, fimbriae, and option C, infundibulum, and option D will be isthmus. Suppose if this is a question, then your answer, usually people, they reject these two. Students, they know that infundibulum and isthmus are not the part which is very close to ovary, but they are confused. Most of the students, they don't know the meaning of the antrum, and some students are confused with the fimbriae. So, possibility of writing the answer is option B, that is fimbriae. Most of the students will write this, but you think thoroughly. When the egg is released, immediately it should come out, and for a while it will be there in the cavity, and then it goes to fimbriae. Fimbriae collects it, and then it passes to infundibulum. So now let us go to each and every part in detail. First, I'll concentrate on ovaries. Ovaries are also called primary sex organs. Why they are called primary sex organs? Because they are responsible to produce eggs. And these ovaries attach to the uterus by the help of ligaments. Attach to the uterine wall by ligaments. And also this ovary, it has two portions. The outermost portion of the ovary, it is epithelium, and it gives protection, and the next layer where we observe the development of follicles here. We observe the developments of follicles: primary follicle, secondary follicle, and tertiary follicle, like this. And finally, the egg matures on the 14th day, and that is called the matured follicle. That I will tell you detail, but I am giving a small brief idea about this now. This region is called the stroma region. It is rich with blood vessels. So, this outer epithelium, and this region is called stroma region. Here the blood vessels will supply the nutrients and also the required hormones for the development of these ovarian follicles. These are called ovarian follicles, or they are also called the tertiary follicle, secondary follicle, primary follicle. The matured follicle is called Graafian follicle. So the outer layer of the ovary is called outer epithelium. Outer epithelium and inner stroma. Here one thing we should remember, the stroma region has two more parts, that is outer cortex and inner medulla. Stroma region has two more parts, that is outer cortex and inner medulla. Now let us go to the next part, accessory organs. So primary sex organ is ovary. Now let us study about the accessory organs which are associated with the female reproductive system. As you know that this here one more point that you should remember, the ovary size is 2 to 4 centimeter. The size of the ovary is 2 to 4 centimeter. This point you should remember. Then accessory ducts which are associated with the reproductive system, but they are not directly involved in the production of these gametes, but they help in the process of for reproduction. Accessory ducts. The important accessory ducts are fallopian tube, and then uterus, or it is also called womb, cervix, and vagina. Dear students, let us study one by one now. First, fallopian tube. Fallopian tube, it has long tubular part that is called isthmus, and the length of the fallopian tube is 10 to 12 centimeter. What is the length? 10 to 12 centimeter. So isthmus, after this isthmus, the next widened part is ampulla. Ampulla is the widened part, and the next part is infundibulum, and the next part is fimbrium. These are the finger-like projections that helps to collect the egg. And after this, let us concentrate on the uterus. This part is in connection with, connected to vagina through cervix, or it is also called cervical canal. And after this uterus, the cervix portion has cervical canal, or it is also called birth canal. And the last portion is vagina. So in this way, this female reproductive system, it has all these different parts that we should remember in this particular concept. Now, the next concept is external genitalia in female. External genitalia. The structure of external genitalia will be like this. Here you can see the presence of soft, tissue-rich skin which is covered by hairs, and this is called mons pubis. Mons pubis. And the next fold of muscle is called, the next fold of muscle is called labia majora. Labia majora. And the next portion is here you can see the small finger-like projection that is called clitoris, and this part is another fold that is called labia minora. So the parts you should remember: the upper soft part with pubic hairs, that is called mons pubis, and the fold of muscle tissue that is called labia majora, inner layer of muscular tissue that is called labia minora. In between the majora and minora, you can see small finger-like projection that is called clitoris, and here the inner part that is inner to the labia minora, you can see the presence of this urethral opening. Urethral opening, and another portion that is called vagina. Here comes the anus. So the parts which are associated with the external genitalia is mons pubis, and the outer fold of muscle is called labia majora, and the inner fold of the muscle is called labia minora, and in between the majora and minora there is a small outgrowth that is called clitoris, and inner to the labia minora the urethral opening will be there, and also the presence of vagina. So these are the parts which are associated with female external genitalia. So outermost part, which is covered with soft tissue and covered by skin and pubic hairs, that is called mons pubis, and the outer layer is labia majora, inner layer is labia minora, in between that the opening or small outgrowth is called clitoris, and urethral opening and vagina. Next, along with this, vagina is partially covered by hymen layer. Hymen layer. Vagina is partially covered by hymen layer. So after this, let us concentrate on the next part, that is called mammary gland. We are all mammals, and because mammals, they take care of their young ones by giving milk, and it is produced in the mammary gland. And the structure, they may ask for 5 marks in the board exam. Draw a neat label diagram of the structure of mammary gland. So we should know the structure. It will be like this. Here you can see the thoracic rib muscles, thoracic ribs, which gives support to the tissue of the mammary gland. And you can also observe the fatty tissue. If you dissect the body, you can see the part which is present immediately below the skin is fat. What is the importance of fat there? It is responsible to maintain the temperature of the milk which is produced inside. And here you can see the presence of many tubular structures. There are many 15 to 20 mammary lobes will be there. They are made up of small sac-like structures. They are called alveoli. Those sac-like structures are called alveoli. And these are the lobes. There are 15 to 20 such lobes will be there, and they are called mammary lobes. It will be like this. So these are the mammary duct, and each mammary duct is associated with sac-like structure. They are called alveoli, which is responsible for the production and storage of the milk. Here, every mammary lobe possesses the duct, like this, and the either side of the mammary gland is protected by fatty tissue, which helps to maintain the temperature. So now let us see the parts. These are the ribs. Rib cage in the thoracic region, and the outer layer is the fatty tissue, and here these are the mammary lobes. And the sac-like structure is called alveoli. There are many sac-like structures. They are called alveoli. And here this is called pectoralis, major muscle. And mammary duct. Many mammary duct joins together to form the lactiferous duct. And this is the portion through which the milk is ejected out. And this portion, bulged portion, is called areola. So, if they ask this diagram, you should write this diagram for 5 marks. So, dear students, this mammary gland, it consists the outer fatty tissue which is responsible to give protection. At the back side, the thoracic rib cage will be there. Ribs will give the protection, and here the pectoralis major muscles will be there, and there are 15 to 20 mammary lobes will be there. Each mammary lobe possesses many sac-like structures. They are called alveoli. They are responsible for the production of the milk, and that milk is diverted to mammary duct, and from there it goes to lactiferous duct. From the lactiferous duct through the nipple, it is ejected out. So, this point you should remember for the exam. Now, the next part which is associated with this chapter is gametogenesis. What is gametogenesis? In the beginning of this chapter, I told the definition of gametogenesis. Gametogenesis is a process of production of gametes. Genesis means production. Gametes, you know, gametes. Genesis, production. Production of gametes. Production of gametes. There are two types in this particular process. One is called spermatogenesis, and that is process of production of sperms, and the second one is oogenesis, production of egg. Oogenesis is production of egg. First, let us study the process of spermatogenesis. If you take the section of the testis, you can observe in your practical, you have this slide for the observation, and it can be asked for 3 marks for identification. And in theory part, in board exam, they may ask a question like this: draw a neat label diagram of TS of testis and explain. So, if that is a question, then you should draw this diagram. Each testis, it consists of many structural and functional units. They are called seminiferous tubules. The structural and functional unit of testis is seminiferous tubule. And seminiferous tubules are protected by connective tissue. They are well protected by connective tissue. And in the middle of this connective tissue, a special type of cells are there. They are called Leydig cells. And they are responsible for the production of male sex hormone that is called testosterone. And inside the seminiferous tubule, you can see the presence of 2 types of cells. One is called Sertoli cells and the other one is called gonial cells. These long pillar-like cells, they are called Sertoli cells. And it also possesses special cells. They are called gonial cells. Gonial cells. Sertoli cells are responsible to produce the nutrients to feed the sperms. But gonial cells undergo many mitotic and meiotic division to produce the sperms. And the structural and functional unit of testis is seminiferous tubule. It can be asked for 1 mark. Which is the structural and functional unit of testis? That is seminiferous tubule. And there are many finger-like projections. They are called Sertoli cells. They are also called nurse cells. Or they are also called companion cells. And this leading cells are called interstitial cells. This point you should remember, interstitial. So, leading cells are responsible for production of testosterone. Seminiferous tubule has 2 types of cells. The long pillar-like cells, they provide nutrients to the developed sperms. And gonial cells undergo many mitotic and meiotic division to produce sperms. And these sperms are produced and stored in the seminiferous tubule until they are released from the testes. So this is about today's topic. So you should remember all these points. Today we learned about the female reproductive system and also external genitalia, and also you learned about the mammary gland and the TS of testis, transverse section of testis. So out of this, today I explained many things which are important for 5 marks. One is draw a neat label diagram of female reproductive system for 5 marks. Second one is draw a neat label diagram of mammary gland for 5 marks. And the other one is draw a neat label diagram of testis and explain. That is another question. So you should prepare yourself for all this. Go through the NCERT book and prepare yourself. Thank you.